In NASCAR's 75-year history, there have been many numbers come and go. On any given weekend, you will see 36 to 40 unique numbers on the track, and each of those numbers has a story to tell. Hi, I'm your host Matt, and this is NASCAR Number History, presented by Dogleg Media. In this series, we told the stories of each of those unique numbers. However, I didn't tell the full story for numbers 1 through 15, and now that the season and the series is over, it's time to do the numbers that got this series and channel started justice. We go in numerical order, and today we remaster numbers 1 through 5 and tell the whole story of the original 5. We left out 39 different winners in the first go, so we hit those and also addressed the change in history since that first episode. If you haven't seen the series, the Cup Series Number History playlist is linked below. But with that intro out of the way, let's remaster some NASCAR number history. We start this one off with the one that started it all, the number 1. During the pilot episode, I mentioned 4 drivers, and as you can see, we missed 7 winners. Let's dive in and complete the story. The number 1 has 26 total wins with 11 different drivers. It's competed in 1,663 total races with a 1.6 win percentage. And this should come as no surprise, but the number 1 would compete in the very first NASCAR Cup Series race at Charlotte in 1949. B.E. Renfro would be the driver, finishing 24th in the series' first race. He would only make 2 career Cup Series starts, both coming in 1949. So this should come as no surprise, there are no pictures. And in the original release, I very briefly discussed Lloyd Dane as the first to win with the number. Giving the first to win in the number has been a staple of the series since the beginning. But that's all I would say. I wouldn't give you a cool little fact like this. Did you know that this win at Portland in 1956 would be Dane's one and only start with the number? See, that's a pretty neat fact that we missed out the first time around. But because he was a one-hit wonder with the number, we don't have anything else to discuss. On to the driver with the most wins in the number 1. And here's the first official mistake in the history of number history. In the original, I said that Jamie McMurray had the most wins with 4. And while that's not false, he does share the title with 3 other drivers that weren't mentioned. We will be sure to highlight those other drivers, but first let's revisit Jamie Mack. He would spend 9 seasons with the 1 car for Chip Ganassi. 3 of his 4 wins would come in his first season with the team in 2010. He would win the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same season, as well as the Fall Charlotte race. Jamie would also win the 2014 All-Star race, proving that he had a knack for winning big events. He would leave the team and the number in 2018 for another driver who would win in the number to be discussed later. The first driver tied with McMurray with 4 wins in the 1 car is a recent Hall of Fame inductee, Donnie Allison. A member of the fabled Alabama gang, Donnie would grab all 4 of his wins with the number driving for Ellington Racing. He would win in his first ever race with the number at Charlotte in 1976. Allison would make starts in the number for Ellington from 1976 until 1980, never completing a full season with the number. His last win with the number would come in 1978 at Atlanta. Billy Wade is also tied with McMurray and Allison with 4 wins with the number. A really cool fact about Wade's time with the number, he would rattle off 4 straight wins with the number in 1964 driving for Bud Moore Engineering. He is still the only driver in history to rattle off their first 4 wins in succession. Unfortunately, Wade would be killed in a crash during a tire test at Daytona. He would have a tire failure, causing him to crash, ultimately killing the young Texan. Rest in peace, Billy. And at the time of recording the original episode, there was only 2 drivers tied with McMurray at 4 wins with the number. But number history changes every single weekend. Ross Chastain would tie the mark, winning twice after the original episode aired. We will definitely talk more about Ross during the current driver portion of this one, but it is pretty cool to see that a bit of history changed in less than 1 year. Now we get to the other winner segment for the number 1, and there are 6 drivers to highlight here, starting with Kurt Busch. We mentioned Kurt in the original episode. The successor of Jamie Mack at Ganassi would win 3 times with the number. Spending 3 years in the number from 2019 until 2021, he would grab 1 win in each of those seasons. His first win with the number was an instant classic of a finish at Kentucky between him and his brother Kyle. It is pretty incredible the amount of different teams and numbers that Kurt was able to win with. Next we have Steve Park, and plenty of y'all let me know about forgetting him in the first installment. Park would win twice in the number. His first would come in 2000 at Watkins Glen. His last win with the number was a super emotional one, winning at Rockingham the weekend after the tragic death of his team owner Dale Earnhardt. This was a much needed win for a deeply hurt DEI team. Steve would spend 6 seasons with the 1, from 1998 until 2003. And now we have 4 drivers who each grabbed 1 win with the number, starting with Eddie Gray. And much like previously mentioned Lloyd Dane, Eddie would only make 1 start with the number, winning at Richmond in 1959. I think it's pretty wild that 2 drivers pulled off the one-hit wonder in the number, but if there's a number to go 1 for 1 in, it has to be the 1. And then there's David Pearson. The Silver Fox would make 9 starts in the number, and would also win in his first start with the number, winning at Darlington in 1980, driving for Ellington Racing. That makes 5 drivers so far that won their first ever start with the number. That's some cool trivia to mention at your next race day watch party. And another neat fact about this win is it would be Pearson's 105th and final Cup Series win. Paul Lewis is up next, and he would grab his 1 and only win with the number at Maryville in 1966. He would make 71 total starts with the number, and this win being the only of his 9-year NASCAR career. Finally, we have Martin Truex Jr. The 2017 Cup Series champion would get his first career win with the number at Dover in 2007. This would be the final win for DEI as a team, and Truex would run for the team from 2004 until 2009. It was pretty cool watching Truex get his first win. It seemed like a major underdog victory at the time, and now look at him, a certain future Hall of Famer for the sport. And guys, I just realized that we won't have an honorable mention segment for this video, as it's a remaster, and this was at a time even before honorable mentions. So let me know some honorable mentions for numbers 6 through 10, and I'll grab some for the next one. And now we have the current driver of the 1, Ross Chastain. It is pretty cool that he not only added 2 more wins to his total after the original release, but he also tied the all-time wins list for the number. I have no doubt that he takes sole control of that title next season. Sure, Trackhouse had a somewhat down season compared to last season in terms of points position, but they tied the win total, so that's something. How do you think Ross does next season? Let me know down below. Alright, 1 down, 14 to go for the remaster. Let's get into the number 2. The 2 has 101 total wins with 11 different drivers. It's competed in 2,058 races and has a 4.9 win percentage. The first to drive the 2 would be Sam Rice. He would make his debut in the sports debut at Charlotte in 1949. He would make 2 starts as a driver and would finish 4th in both attempts. The photo seen is Sam Rice next to Fireball Roberts after a win. Sam would be a winning team owner with the NASCAR legend. This would be Fireball's first career win, coming with Sam Rice's machine. And the first to win with the 2 would be Bill Blair. He would win at the Vernon Fairgrounds in 1950. This win would be in a car owned by the previously mentioned Sam Rice. All in all, Blair would win 3 times with the number, his second coming in 1952 at Lakewood, and the final of his career coming in 1953 at Daytona Beach. Blair was a bootlegger back in the 30s. He is a part of the original racers of NASCAR, and that is an awesome part of history. And when it comes to the most wins, I'm sure we all know who it is. Although it's close, Rusty Wallace is on top with his 37 wins with the number. Rusty would spend the last 15 years of his Hall of Fame career in the Penske 2, and he would dominate the 90s with it, winning 31 of his 37 total wins during that time. He would post a 10-win season in 1993 and an 8-win season in 1994, only to be beat by Dale Earnhardt in the points both seasons. Rusty made the Blue Deuce famous and built a Hall of Fame career behind the 2 ride. And on to other winners, and we have 8 to name, starting with second all-time in wins with the number, Brad Keselowski. I would say that new fans of the sport thank Brad when thinking of the number 2. He would come up 3 wins short of tying Rusty for the number, notching 34 total wins in his time with it. Piloting it from 2011 until 2021, Brad would accomplish a major milestone for Penske, winning the team's first Cup Series championship in 2012. Keselowski would win in all 11 seasons with the number, making for one of the longest streaks in the sport. While Keselowski is now a team owner at RFK, and doing a fine job of it I might add, he thrived at Penske, and played a big part in their success today. And next is a familiar name, it's Kurt Busch. He would win 8 times in his stint with the Blue Deuce. Running it from 2006 until 2010, he would rattle many drivers' cage. Ultimately, he would be moved to the 22, with Brad Kay taking the ride in 2011. But Kurt made his mark on the number for sure. And next is a name that we mentioned plenty during the Number History series. Bobby Allison would win 7 times in the number. All 7 of these wins would come with J.D. Bracken from 1966 to 1968. The 84-time Cup winner won with a bunch of numbers, and the 2 is just one of many. Alright, this next one is a big miss from the first installment. I left out Dale Earnhardt for the 2 car. How did I forget him for this one? I have no idea, but that's why we're here. The Intimidator would win 6 times in the Osterland Racing 2, including his first of 7 Cup Series titles. He would run it from 1979 until 1981, with his championship coming in 1980 on the back of 5 wins. Sure, Dale Earnhardt is known for the 3, but he would first win and become a champion with the 2. Up next we have Tim Richmond. He would get the first 2 wins of his career with the number, driving for Jim Stacy Racing. Both of these wins would come in 1982, and both would come at Riverside. Hollywood was a fan favorite, and one of NASCAR's what-if stories. For more on Tim Richmond, check out the Team History Hendrick video on the channel. He has a sad story within the sport. And we close out the other winners for the 2 with 3 one-time winners, starting with Herb Thomas. Herb would only make 1 start in the 2, winning his only race with it in 1951 at Heidelberg. Pretty crazy that we have another one-hit wonder in this one. And he's back again. David Pearson would grab 1 of his 105 Cup Series wins in the 2, winning at Darlington in 1979, driving for Osterland. This would be win number 104 for the Silver Fox. Wild that we have touched on his last 2 career wins in this one, with both coming at Darlington. And finally there's Jim Paschal. We mentioned Paschal a lot during the series as well. He would get his lone win with the 2 at Southside in 1962, driving for Cliff Stewart Racing. He would make 31 starts with the number in his career, the majority with Cliff Stewart in 1962. And let's wrap up the 2 with the current driver, and most recent to win with the number, Austin Cindric. While Cindric would win in his first ever start with the 2 at the 2022 Daytona 500, everything since that point has been downhill. Cindric had an abysmal sophomore season, finishing 24th in the standings, posting only 1 top 5 and 4 top 10s. He finished outside the top 20 in 21 of 36 races this season, so there is a lot of work to be done before 2024. I believe Cindric has the talent to do it, and the Penske equipment has won 2 championships in a row. I don't know what needs to be done, but something has to happen soon. Now we move to a fan favorite number for sure, and there's a lot more to this one than most people may know. Here is the 3. The 3 has 101 total wins with 13 different drivers. It's competed in 1,498 total races with a 6.7 win percentage. The first to drive the 3 would be Bill Snowden. He would first take the 3 to Okanichi in 1949, where he would finish 5th. He would make 24 total starts in his career, but only 1 in the 3, being the number's first. The first to win with the 3 would be Dick Rathman. He would actually win 3 times in the 3, all coming in 1954. The first would be at Oakland with Ray Erickson, with the second coming at the very next race at North Wilkesboro. His last with the number would be the last of his career, winning at Santa Fe. And moving to most wins, this one is fairly obvious. It's the Intimidator, Dale Earnhardt. Dale would run the last 18 years of his career with the 3 for Richard Childress, winning an incredible 67 times and claiming 6 championships with the number. Dale would win his championships in pairs, going back-to-back in 86 and 87, 90 and 91, and 93 and 94. He would also finish second in the points 3 times, including his last full season in 2000. That adds on to the pain of his tragic passing in 2001 at the Daytona 500. He was still competing at an elite level at nearly 50 years old. Nobody will ever match Earnhardt in the 3, and he is widely considered to be the greatest of all time. He did it all in his career, with the final achievement being checked in 1998, winning the Daytona 500 after 20 years of trying. There will never be another Dale Earnhardt. What he did for the sport is incredible, and he is sorely missed. On to the other winners, and we have 10 to discuss, so we will get through them relatively quickly, starting with Junior Johnson. Johnson would make 50 starts with the number for Fox Racing, winning 9 times with the number. He would run it from 1962 to 1964, and he is second all-time in wins with the number. Paul Goldsmith is next on the list, winning 5 times with the number. His first win with it would come in 1956 at Langhorne. He would win 3 times in 1957 with it, and his final win with the 3 would come in 1958. And fun fact about Goldsmith, he would win back-to-back USAC championships in 1961 and 1962. I know this isn't related to NASCAR, but it's still a fun fact. And now he has made it a perfect 3 for 3 to start this remaster. David Pearson would win 3 times with the 3. Making only 13 starts with the number, all 3 of his victories would come in 1961 driving for John Massoni. How many more times will we see the Silver Fox in this remaster? And how about another legend of the sport? Buck Baker would win twice in the 3 car. The 2-time Cup Series champion would win both of these races for Fox Racing in 1964, including winning that season's Southern 500 at Darlington with the number. And his son Buddy would match his win total with the number, winning twice driving the 3 for Fox Racing as well. The similarities don't stop there. Buddy would also win a Crown Jewel event with the number, winning the 1968 World 600 with it. Same number, same team, same family, and same number of wins. That's pretty cool. And the last of the multi-time winners would be Ricky Rudd. Before Dale Earnhardt would make the Richard Childress Racing 3 famous, Ricky Rudd would be the first to win with it, winning twice in 1983 running for the team. After the 83 season, there would be an essential driver swap, with Rudd going to Bud Moore taking Earnhardt's spot, and Earnhardt taking Rudd's seat at RCR. And now we have 4 one-time winners, starting with Earl Balmer. Balmer would only make 2 starts in the number, winning his first with it in 1966 during a Daytona qualifier. This win would also be the first for the Dodge Charger in NASCAR history. Balmer would only win 1 race in his 32-race career, being this one with the 3. And then there's Danny Letner. He would also only make 2 starts with the number, winning his first with it as well. He would win in the same season that Dick Rathman would get the number's first win, winning at Oakland in 1954. Fireball Roberts would also get a win with the 3, coming in 1959 at Daytona, driving for Jim Stevens. He would only make 4 starts with the number, all coming in 1959. Finally, there's Charlie Glotzback. He would make 14 starts in the number, with his lone win coming in 1971 at Bristol, driving for Howard and Edgerton Racing. And we conclude the 3 with its current driver, Austin Dillon. He is the grandson of team owner Richard Childress, and would be the first to drive the famous number 3 since Dale Earnhardt's death in 2001. Being in the seat since 2014, Dillon has won 4 times with the number, including the Daytona 500 20 years to the day after Dale Earnhardt would win his lone 500. His first career win would also be a crown jewel at the 2017 Coke 600. While 2023 was by far the worst season of his career, he typically puts up respectable numbers. 2023 was terrible though, finishing 29th in the standings, and when you look at his teammate Kyle Busch who won 3 races, it makes it that much worse. What is your opinion on Dillon? Drop it in the comments below. Also, this is a great moment to remind you to subscribe if you haven't already. It helps out a ton and I definitely appreciate it. On to the penultimate number for this one, and it just had its winningest driver retire. Here is the 4. The number 4 has 82 total wins with 10 different drivers. It's competed in 1,799 total races with a 4.6 win percentage. The first to drive the 4 would be Frank Mundy. He would drive a 4 machine owned by previously mentioned Sam Rice at Charlotte in 1949. He wouldn't fare well in his one and only start with the number, bringing it home 30th. Mundy is a 3-time winner, just with another number that we will discuss in the next episode. The first to take the 4 to victory lane would be John Soares. He would win at Carroll in 1954. He would only make 5 total starts with the number, winning in his second ever start with it. Alright Kevin Harvick fans, get your tissues ready. The driver with the most wins in the 4 is the closer, Kevin Harvick. The driver who filled the biggest shoes in the sport would make the move to the 4 car in 2014, and what a start he would have with it. He would win 5 times in his first season with the Stewart-Haas 4 car en route to his one and only Cup Series championship. All in all, Harvick would win 37 times in the 4, solidifying his Hall of Fame career. He would announce that 2023 would be his farewell season, and we saw some incredible moments along the way. While he couldn't notch that one final win, he gave his fans and the sport one heck of a career, and I can't wait for him to join the Fox booth in 2024. Getting to other winners, we have 8 to focus on here, starting with another NASCAR legend, Rex White. He would win 26 of his 28 career victories with the number, and his one and only championship with it as well. Being an owner-driver at White Clements Racing, he would win the 1960 Cup Series championship on the back of 6 wins and an incredible 20 top 5s. Third on the wins list for the 4 is Ernie Irvan. I got a lot of flack for missing Ernie in the original episode. He would win 7 times in the Morgan McClure 4 machine, including the 1991 Daytona 500 with the number. Irvan would run the 4 from 1990 until 1993, making 105 total starts with it. After Ernie, we have Sterling Marlin, another driver that I got flack for. He would win the Daytona 500 with the number, and he would do it twice, winning back-to-back 500s in 1994 and 1995. Altogether, Sterling would win 6 times in the Morgan McClure 4 from 1994 until 1997. Now we have 5 one-time winners with the 4, starting with Bob Wellborn. The Convertible Series King, he's yet another one-hit wonder, winning in his only start with the 4 car, winning at Martinsville in 1958. And how about another one-for-one driver, because our next driver did it too. This time, it's Al Keller. And he missed being the first to win in the number by 1 race, winning the very next race the 4 would run after John Soare's win. This win by Keller would be a milestone win, being the first time a foreign-built car won in NASCAR. He would win at Linden in 1954, driving a Jaguar owned by Paul Whiteman. Billy Myers is next on our one-time winners list. Billy would make 17 starts in the 4, with his lone win coming at Norfolk in 1956. Next is Bobby Hamilton. He would run the 4 from 1998 until 2000, driving for Morgan McClure. His only win would come in his first season with the team, winning at Martinsville in 1998. This Kodak scheme is super nostalgic for me. I remember running it in NASCAR 99 on the Nintendo 64. Yeah, I'm old. And finally we have Casey Kane. As a massive fan of Red Bull, this paint scheme is incredible, and I'm glad that Casey got it to victory lane. He only made 1 season with the number in 2011 for Team Red Bull. He would win at Phoenix at the end of the season, getting to victory lane with 1 race to spare. I wish so badly for Red Bull to come back to NASCAR, and it looks at least somewhat more likely with SVG wanting to make a full-time NASCAR career. Now to wrap up the 4 with its current driver, and it's someone who has yet to make a single start with it. The replacement to Kevin Harvick is Josh Berry. The former junior motorsports driver will make his rookie Cup Series campaign in 2024 with the Stewart-Haas Racing 4 car. He has made 12 Cup Series starts as a fill-in driver for Hendrick Motorsports, and he impressed in his time with the team. He is older than most rookies to enter the Cup Series, coming in at 33. Do you think that Josh Berry will win in the 4 car? I think Stewart-Haas has a lot of work to do as an organization before I think he will have a chance. I am excited to see how that team looks next season, however, without Kevin Harvick. We finished this remaster with the 5, and the history has changed since the original episode. At the time of the first episode, the 5 only had 59 wins. Let's take a look at its current stats. Here is the 5. The 5 has 62 total wins with 11 different drivers. It's competed in 1,672 total races with a 3.7 win percentage. The first to drive the number 5 would be Felix Wilkes. He would compete in the first ever NASCAR race at Charlotte in 1949. He would finish 27th, running in a Lincoln, and he would only make 3 total starts with the number, so no surprise there aren't any photos. The first time the 5 would visit Victory Lane, Cotton Owens would be behind the wheel. He would win at Piedmont in 1960 as an owner-driver. Owens would ultimately win 3 times in the 5, all as an owner-driver. Cotton is a Hall of Famer and a championship-winning team owner, with David Pearson winning the 1966 championship with his Owens Racing team. And on to the driver with the most wins. It's our current driver of the 5, Kyle Larson. Larson has been dominant in his time with the 5, as he just completed his 3rd season with the ride and has already won a championship and 17 races with the number. He has made the Final Four in 2 of his 3 seasons with the team and shows no signs of slowing down anytime soon. He had one of the most dominant seasons in recent memory in 2021, winning 10 races en route to the championship. We will talk more about Larson in the current driver part for the number, but man, he has been lights out with this one. On to other winners for the final time in this one, and we have 9 drivers to highlight, starting with Terry Labonte. Texas Terry would win 12 times in 11 seasons with the Hendrick Motorsports 5 ride. Piloting it from 1994 until 2004, Terry would win the 1996 championship, battling teammate Jeff Gordon for the title. Gordon won way more races than Labonte did that season, but Terry would record 19 top 5s in addition to his 2 wins. He would also finish second 7 times that season, and it helped him win his 2nd Cup Series championship. Also, the Kellogg's number 5 is how the 5 should be. That is such an iconic paint scheme. Up next is the first winner in Hendrick Motorsports history, Jeff Bodine. It would be in the 5 car that Jeff would win the team's first race at Martinsville, effectively saving them from closing. All in all, Jeff would win 7 times in 6 seasons with the number. Casey Kane is next on the wins list for the 5, with 6 total wins. Kane would join Hendrick after Mark Martin would leave the team in 2012. He would pilot the 5 for Hendrick from 2012 to 2017, and in that time he would win 2 Crown Jewel events. His first win with the team would be at the 2012 Coke 600, and his last win with the team would be the 2017 Brickyard 400, starting his time and ending his time with the number with a bang. And speaking of Mark Martin, he is next with 5 wins in the 5. In one of the most bizarre career resurgences in NASCAR history, a 50-year-old Mark Martin would win 5 races in 2009 and finish second to teammate Jimmy Johnson in the points. He would also win that season's Southern 500, adding to his Crown Jewel collection. Mark would spend the next 2 seasons with the team, but wouldn't find victory lane again. Still, this was a crazy cool revival to watch live, and it was a lot of fun. Next on the list is Kyle Busch. Rowdy would get his career started in the HMS 5, and would win 4 times in 3 seasons with the number. The coolest win for Busch in this time would be winning the first ever Car of Tomorrow race at Bristol in 2007. He famously said that the car sucked in his post-race interview, and if the race winner says the car sucks, that's a problem. And tied with Rowdy with 4 wins in the 5 is Ricky Rudd. Ricky would run the Hendrick 5 from 1990 until 1993. He would win once each season with the number, with wins at Watkins Glen, Darlington, Dover, and Michigan. In 1991, he would finish a career best 2nd in points with the number. Neil Bonnet is next, and he would get his first 2 wins with the 5 car. Driving for Jim Stacy Racing, he would win at Richmond and Ontario during the 1977 season. He would only make 44 career starts with the 5, so he didn't have that bad of a track record with it. And we finished this one off with 2 one-time winners, starting with Bobby Johns. Bobby would only make 4 starts with the number, with his only win coming at Atlanta in 1960. This would be the 2nd ever race held at the track, which is pretty neat. And finally we have Morgan Shepherd. The Ferguson, North Carolina native would get his first career win in the 5, winning at Martinsville in 1981 driving for Cliff Stewart. Shepherd had one of the longest racing careers, running races from 1970 until 2019, a near 50-year stretch of racing. That's pretty incredible. And we finished this one up with the current driver, Kyle Larson. We already talked about his dominance with the number. Already a championship, and he's the winningest driver for the 5. Larson is poised to win multiple championships, and he could enter the conversation as one of the greatest to ever do it. How many more wins do you see Larson getting with the 5? And do you see him winning another title? And if so, how many? And that'll do it for numbers 1 through 5. This was an absolute marathon of an episode for just 5 numbers. It was necessary though. We have to tell the whole story, and now we are one step closer to doing that. As always, I'm prone to forgetting drivers. Let me know anyone I may have missed for this one down below. We will be back next time with the remaster of numbers 6 through 10. If it's anything like this one, it will be another marathon. If you haven't seen the rest of the series, the Number History playlist is linked below. Be sure to check it out. If you liked the video, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button to stay in the loop. It helps a ton and I definitely appreciate it. And did you know that 78% of my viewers aren't subscribed, but they are returning viewers? If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, what are you waiting for? As always, I want to thank the Dogleg team for all of their help. Darksea, Dice, Christian, Chili, Elite, and The Gamer, y'all are a big part in making the channel the best that it can be. Be sure to check the community tab of the channel. We do cool little giveaways like autographed merch and diecast, as well as do polls and updates for the channel. You don't want to miss it. And we also have a Discord server. Find the invite in the About section of the channel or in the description below to join us over there for even more fun and learning. But that'll do it for us here at Dogleg Media. I'm Matt, your host, and you've been watching NASCAR Number History. I'll see you next time.